Hello. Happy Monday or Moon Day, however you relate to Monday. Anyways, we're gonna start with a little bit of a meditation here. And today we're going to be exploring 3 different piles. So you'll get to choose your message. And what we are asking is, or confirming if you've already had an intuition about this with yourself, what do I no longer have the emotional capacity for? What does that mean? What do I no longer have the energetic bandwidth to sustain in my life right now? So some of these might be, just something you don't have the capacity for right now in this moment, or it may be something that you just no longer can accept or have your nervous system just can no longer hold something the way that it's been holding it energetically. So yeah, as we breathe here, just tap in to your own energy and ask yourself, like, what has been unraveling right now? What do I feel like I just do not have the energetic, emotional capacity for in this moment? And how can I take the pressure off and decide that I'm free? Like, oh, actually, I don't have to hold that anymore. Oh, I don't have to be stressed about that anymore. I'm safe enough to have a different relationship with this than I did before. But we're gonna get into it. So let's just take some deep breaths here with the bowl. And just really filling into your heart space or whatever space in your body wants attention from you right now in this moment. Allow this to be a space where you pause just for a moment in your day. And take a deep breath in through your nose. And hold that breath. And release. Another breath in through your nose. What do you no longer have the capacity for? One last breath in through the nose. Hold it up top and sigh it out. I feel like this message really ties into that energy of Taurus season as well, of being patient with our nervous systems, and instead of judging yourself for not having the capacity or the space or the bandwidth for something, slowing down and honoring yourself and saying, oh, okay, I'm noticing that I actually don't have the space for this, even though I want it. I'm realizing I actually don't have the space to keep operating in this way. And then how do I shift to honor my body, to honor my emotions, to honor what my heart has the space to hold and what it doesn't? So yeah, I think this is going to be a beautiful reading, especially for those who may be judging themselves for not we'll get into it. I don't want to give it away. But yeah, especially if you're judging yourself about your capacity, or feeling like you're not doing enough or you're not enough because of your capacity, this is going to be a really nice message to hear. So let's get into the piles so that we can pick. This is going to be pile 1, this amethyst globe. She's a beauty. Pile 2 is this Amazonite, I'm pretty sure is what it's called. This is very much throat chakra energy. And then we have our rose quartz here. So this is pile 3. So let's get into pile 1 first, which is this amethyst here. What is pile 1 no longer have the capacity for, okay? And I definitely mean this emotionally, but also a nervous system capacity. And the first card that came out was the Temperance. This is what the Temperance looks like. So this card symbolizes that you may be in a phase of emotional alchemy. Now, what does that mean? To me, emotional alchemy means that an emotionally transformative experience that maybe caused some sort of dysregulation or pain, you're now in a very peaceful state with that and able to turn that pain into something powerful. Right now you're in a space where you're not suffering with that pain, but you're turning that pain into meaning, into purpose in your life. And this is kind of a message of, this is all you have the capacity for right now. There may be some emotional, romantic idealization or opportunity around you, or you may desire emotional closeness, maybe new friends or partnerships or whatever it is, but it feels like your system in this moment genuinely only has the capacity to be in this energy of self-regulation and of like learning how to flow with your own internal waters, learning what fills your cup with the Ace of Cups, learning the deeper source of emotional fulfillment within you and locating that first before accepting a cup, an emotional opportunity externally. So this is really about understanding your emotional cup first. What fulfills you in love? What fulfills you in connection? Are you fully 100% stabilized in that knowing of what you desire and what really, really does feel emotionally fulfilling? Because it feels like in this temperance space, it's kind of an experimentation of figuring that out and turning the past pain into a meaningful emotional connection with self. And then from that meaningful connection with self is where you can build meaningful connection with other. But when we aren't 100% clear or stabilized is when we sometimes step into connection out of disparity instead of from a grounded place, from a place of I rested, I'm rejuvenated, I'm grounded, I'm stabilized, my nervous system is regulated to the point where I can feel into connections and decide if that connection is going to regulate me or derive me from my emotional balance, from the emotional peace that I'm cultivating right now with temperance. So whoever you are, if you picked pile 1, you do not have the capacity to entertain external connections right now. And like, you don't have the space to dip your toes into a cup that could potentially take you off balance, disrupt your alchemical healing process. Like, your number one priority right now feels like emotional equilibrium, internal peace, and not allowing any external connection disrupt that peace, even if they're well-meaning, because the Knight of Cups is not a negative energy. Like, there could actually be genuine, very kind connections that, you know, you could engage with if you decided to do that. But it feels like at this time, your nervous system is telling you, I actually don't even have the space for that, even if these people are well-meaning. Like, emotionally, like, it feels like you really are in a space where you're trying to figure out within how to feel emotionally fulfilled and emotionally safe within, so that you feel emotionally safe in connections and safe enough in your body to recognize when another person's energy is not safe. Safe enough in your body to recognize, oh, this energy is probably gonna feel one-sided. Like, you're in a space where you don't want connections to be unbalanced or one-sided. So it's important to take that space so that the nervous system can recognize this new internal balance that you're cultivating as a default. And then once that becomes a default, naturally the emotional capacity for new connection will open up, because the nervous system will be prepared for that. So if you're feeling a little bit lonely, or if you feel like you're looking outside of yourself for connection right now, this is a reminder that everything that you're seeking externally right now, if you are, or any type of idealizations that you may be having right now about connections, friends, with people, with anything, this is really a reminder that this is a moment to locate the energy that you're looking for outside, to locate that within right now. That is the most important thing right now to keep you in balance. You may have gone through a very dysregulating period. And if you're in a space where you're finally regulated, it's very important to not fuck that up, okay? Because sometimes it's unnecessary to do that, you know, and then to learn a lesson all over again. It's not fun when we already have the tools and we already know what's good for us and what is not. Let me see what else I wrote about this. Yeah, it's like, I feel like the temperance is also aiming at, especially with the amethyst here, it's like crown chakra energy of the pain that you've experienced in the past when it comes to connections. That pain is turning into deep wisdom right now. It's turning into deeper consciousness right now. So it's like spending time with that inner well of consciousness and wisdom with yourself right now is deeply important to regain balance. And It's like you just don't have the capacity to interrupt that process that you're in right now, that alchemical process. Even if they're benevolent beings that are trying to hang out with you, or that you want to hang out with them or connect with, or whatever it is, even if it's like great, good people, good vibes, like you genuinely don't have the capacity for that. And it's okay that you don't. Don't judge yourself for not having the capacity for that right now. It's okay. It's okay. How many people get the opportunity to be in a deep alchemical process with themselves? Not a lot. So I think it's just, leaning into, okay, I get to have this process with me. I get to go deeper with myself, because now I really want to be intentional about my connections. Like, that's a gift. That's a gift. And this, especially because the Knight of Cups came out upright and the Ace came upright, like, this is good vibes. This is not a message of never love again. Don't love people. No. This is just not too much to where it throws you off balance, number one. It's not too fast, because you're being asked to slow down right now. And three, not as your waters are stabilizing. Like, you're stabilizing right now. So love doesn't feel like a smart move right now as you're trying to stabilize these energies, right? Because love activates so many things. It activates past wounds. It activates childhood trauma. It activates triggers. Love activates a lot of stuff. Like, you have to be ready for that. Because stepping into love without being prepared for everything that it's going to bring up is irresponsible. And I'm sorry if you feel called out, but it is irresponsible. And it's not fair to the other person. So, yeah, locate that cup inside yourself first. Understand what your emotional needs are in connection. What are your emotional needs? What would keep you balanced as you begin to connect with people when you're ready? And understanding all of these boundaries, all of these non-negotiables, all of these little things that did not work in the past. Like, in this space, you get to decide, this is what I want. And when I'm ready, I'm going to have it. So, yeah, it feels like, this is a deep conservation of your sacred emotional energy. And I feel like since the Temperance came out, you see your energy as sacred. You see your emotions as sacred. And whoever you share your emotional energy with, they should also see your energy as sacred. It can't just be just anybody that's nice to you, just anybody that smiles at you, just anybody that has an open heart. No, like, you're deep in this well of, okay, I'm allowed to receive exactly what I deserve. I'm allowed to receive exactly what I want. I'm allowed to receive connections that add to my regulation. I'm allowed to be around people who aren't constantly dysregulating me, So it's important to take that space to decide, okay, my energy's sacred right now. Even though there's nice people around me, I just don't have the capacity to share my energy right now. So if that resonates with you, now you know. And I hope that was a confirmation of whatever you were feeling. Or if you felt like you were going to start reaching out to people from a desperate place, maybe this could be a confirmation of stay the course. Stay balanced. Stay in temperance. Stay sovereign. Be patient. Soon enough, Spirit will bring you the right emotional connection. Whether it's a friend, whether it's a mentor, whether it's a lover. But for now, it's deeply important to prioritize your equilibrium. in your alchemical process. Okay? Sending you love. Next message. So the next message is pile 2. If you picked this Amazonite, I love this color so much. And this is your message, okay? So, completely different vibe. The first card that came out here is the 8 of Pentacles, which is typically it's not a negative card at all. It's a beautiful card. It speaks about this diligent energy of really working on your craft. But in combination with the Devil here, something else is coming through. And that something else is your emotional capacity right now, okay, has to do with the way that you relate to work, the way that you relate to effort, and how maybe there's an unconscious patterning of equating your effort to your worth, and how you're literally in the middle of maybe catching yourself again in that pattern of, oh gosh, I've been mistaking my devotional energy for, like, allowing that. Sometimes we're so deeply devoted to our craft and then we don't realize where it sometimes turns into compulsion, or it turns into, I need to finish this deadline. I need to finish this today, even if there's not even a deadline. It's just like that energy of needing to get things done to feel worthy. And it feels like your capacity for that, like you just do not have it in you to continue being in this pattern. Your body does not want to be overridden anymore through this patterning. So it's this energy of disentangling self-worth from survival-based performance conditioning. Disentangling self-worth from survival-based performance. So it's like you just cannot hold the identity level attachment to labor, effort, or earned worth anymore. It's like, it feels like, and with the 7 of Swords here that came out reversed, the first thing that I thought about with this card reversed, like, upright, he looks sneaky, like he's getting away with something, right? And reversed, I get this message of when things feel too easy for you, it feels like this feeling might creep in of, I'm not doing enough. Or when things feel too easy, you may feel like you're getting away with something. You may feel suspicious of yourself when things don't feel hard. And this totally ties in to the 8 of Pentacles with the Devil, because it's like you no longer have the capacity to relate to work in a way of, I have to overexert myself to be successful. I have to overexert myself to feel worthy of rest. So there's a lot of, like, with the Devil card, it feels like you're realizing right now that you may have been operating in some self-deception in the way that you've been working or exerting effort. And some discipline that you had here may have been a little bit of fear in disguise. Sometimes we get wrapped up in this idea of discipline and devotion, right? But at what point does discipline actually override the body? At what point does discipline turn into fear and overexerting ourselves? So I feel like right now you're recognizing the unconscious narratives that have been tied to the way that you exert your effort in the way that you work. You may have been also realizing some internalized scarcity or some internalized shame about resting or about not feeling like you're doing enough. And I think that you're realizing that your mind and your body are not on the same page anymore. Like the mind is trying to tell you with the devil card, like, I need labor to validate my experience. I need labor to validate my existence. Like, do you feel worthy when you're not working? Do you feel like you're worthy of existence when you're not striving for something? That's something to look at here. Yeah, and like I think the devil represents bondage to that unconscious belief system, but also the opportunity right now to take the chains off. The opportunity right now to say, I'm not bonded to that belief system anymore. I have the opportunity to free myself from that belief system anymore because it's no longer unconscious. I'm seeing the pattern. You're literally seeing the pattern. And like, it almost feels like you seeing the pattern feels like you're cheating, like you're getting away with something, like you're not supposed to know that it's okay to not suffer, that it's okay for work to feel fun and easy and light and not heavy at all. So this might be a bit of a challenge for you with the Seven of Swords. It might feel very uncomfortable to notice this and to realize that you can have an easeful relationship with effort. You can move out of survival-based strategies and you can move into flow. So, a few things I wrote too. Why do I only trust my value when I'm exhausted or overworked? I think like a lot of people fall into that pattern of only trusting that they did enough if at the end of the day they're exhausted. Or why does ease make me suspicious of myself? Like, have you ever resonated with that feeling of waiting for the next shoe to drop, or waiting for the next bad thing to happen, or waiting for the next time that you feel burned out or stressed out from work, but then that being the confirmation that you worked hard enough? Like, no. Why does it feel like you're getting away with something when things feel effortless? Why does that feel sneaky? It's that unconscious conditioning, and it's not even, a lot of us get this conditioning from our families, but I feel like this is a huge societal conditioning as well, that a lot of us on spiritual paths or on other paths are really, really starting to remember that there's a different way to do all of this. You don't have to struggle for results. You don't have to feel ashamed for resting. So yeah, it's like, at what point does healthy diligence and devotion turn into compulsion? I think some of us too, we can mistake discipline and devotion and diligence with overextending ourselves. And it's about finding a healthy balance and being honest with yourself about, is this devotion or am I overexerting myself? And what's the difference? How does it feel in my body? What's different about those two energetics? And this is also like, yeah, this is kind of this confirmation for you of you can no longer grind through the pain. grind through overriding the body. Over-identify with achievement. Why are we over-identifying with achievement? Why? I don't like that. I think it's just a societal thing that it's very ego-driven to over-identify with our achievements. And it protects us from feeling unworthy, and I understand that, and it's completely valid, and it's also important that we recognize those things and recognize our worth outside of productivity. It also feels like a message for those of you who romanticize burnout, romanticize the struggle, romanticize the hustle. I've seen a lot of that interestingly enough, in Gen Z and in like the younger generations, still working through that generational pattern of romanticizing hustle, romanticizing the grind. If that's you, can you let that go? And yeah, it's like, and this card has a lot to do with identity as well, the Seven of Swords. And it's like kind of asking you, have you derived your identity and your worth from feeling useful? And why, when you're not working, are you not useful? I think it's just as valuable and just as useful and just as beautiful to rest and to be in that nothingness and to work in a way where you're not overexerting yourself, but where you're checking in with your body from time to time and asking yourself, do I feel complete today? Do I feel like I need a little breather right now? What do I need right now to feel joyful as I work? Do I have these invisible finish lines that I feel like I need to finish all these things by today, even though nobody set that rule for me? I'm just putting all these rules on myself to feel like I did enough, to feel like I'm enough, to feel worthy enough. So these are all really great questions to ask yourself if this is your pile here. Because it definitely feels like you're releasing this identity level attachment to labor. And it's a scary thing, because once you're detaching your identity from something that made you feel really, really worthy, then you're left to be in a space where you're deciding, oh, okay, how do I feel worthy now that I've detached from this? But it's not about how do I feel worthy now, it's how do I create a healthy relationship with work? And just by doing that, naturally, the worth piece, you're just gonna feel it come through naturally in a different way, and realize that the old sense of worth from overexerting yourself was a distortion. And it was a pattern, but you see that now. I definitely feel like whoever you are, you're very much aware of this right now. And you may have recently encountered this pattern and caught it in live action. So if that's you, I'm proud of you for that. Because this is a hard one to let go of, especially, when you grow up in a family with a lot of scarcity, maybe growing up poor or things like that. It can be terrifying to take the pressure off in that type of way. So yeah, that is the message for pile 2. Sending you love, pile 2. So now we're gonna get into pile 3. And interestingly enough, it's interesting. I picked 3 cards for each pile. It felt appropriate. And the Knight of Cups came out in pile 3 as well. So pile 3's emotional capacity here is, I wrote so much for this because so many things the cards started to speak. And I was like, okay, let's get into it. With this rose quartz also feels symbolic for this pile, but it's like, we got the 4 of Swords reversed. We got the Knight of Cups, and we got the Judgment card reversed as well. So this tells me a whole story. I'm gonna show the cards so that we can see them. But the 4 of Swords is this energy of fatigue from healing. Healing, fatigue, burnout from constant processing. Like this burnout from processing emotions, processing situations, processing disagreements, processing so many things, right? And you may feel like you are in a period of time where you're still processing a lot of things in your life. And it feels like you have this fatigue or energy of exhaustion around healing, but you're surrendered to the healing process here. And with the Judgment reversed and the Knight of Cups, it feels like you don't have the capacity anymore for misaligned connection. Like you cannot afford emotionally, like you can't afford for an emotional connection right now to bring you, like, here's the thing, okay? Judgment is the wake-up call, right? It's a wake-up call to, I can no longer tolerate connections that are not 100% in alignment. Because if I do connect with connections that are not in alignment with my soul, even though they're benevolent, even though they might be nice or emotionally enticing, I don't have the energy for something that's not fully in alignment with my soul, because I already intuitively know that it's just going to be another lesson that I'm going to have to emotionally process. And it feels like you're in a space where you cannot afford to be always processing pain. Like you don't want to do that anymore. Your body doesn't have the capacity to have this unnecessary recovery cycles all the time. Like some lessons are learned and it's just not necessary to go through the pain of the same lesson over and over again. So this feels like a big wake-up call for someone who, like, you might be looking out to the emotionally seductive energies around you at this time. You might be seeing the possibility of connecting with certain people. You might have suitors. You might be idealizing romance with some people around you. And they, it's benevolent. So it could be people who feel meaningful, who feel light, who feel good-hearted people. But with the Judgment card here reversed, it's like, this is Spirit telling you it doesn't matter if there's an emotional possibility right now. And it almost like feels like a tiny bit of a test, just a little bit, right? I don't love saying that, but it feels like, you know, it's a test too. Like, you know that you're being tested right now a little bit, but it's like anything that's not long-term 100% aligned with you, you're being called to notice that even though you feel like there's potential with people around you at this time, you're being called with the Judgment card to take a hard look at yourself and say, you know what? It's not worth it. If it's not long-term aligned, it's not worth it if it's going to cost me my sanity. It's not worth it if it's going to cost me to go through a recovery cycle again. It's not worth it if I'm going to have to go again through this cycle of processing and recovery and healing and resting and taking a break from love again because it traumatized me again. Like, you just don't have the bandwidth for that. You don't have the bandwidth to get hurt again from something that is not in alignment with you. And that might be a hard pill for you to swallow right now, because it feels like you may have a lot of possibilities around you that feel attractive, not only like romantically attractive in your heart space. And this could be friendships too. This could be this doesn't have to be like a love connection. But yeah, I feel like with the Judgment card here, you know, I'm getting this message of like some lessons become optional once you've shifted into a deeper consciousness. So it's like, you don't have to go through that heartbreak lesson again. You have the option to actually have the discernment right now and to say, yeah, I could do it for the plot. I could hang out with this person. I could dip my toes into this and connect with those energies. But also, you're in a space where you feel very selective right now, and you're waking up to a deeper soul calling. And since you're awakening to a deeper soul calling here, the people around you have to be very much in alignment with who you are becoming. And you don't have the energy to connect with anything less than that. I'm not saying less than you, but I'm saying you don't have the energy to connect with anything that's not in alignment with that energy. Because you know that you're highly sensitive, and you know that that could regress you. You know that that could put you back in a cycle of recovery that you honestly don't have the bandwidth for, because you're awakening into something really important to your soul. Like, it almost feels like you don't got time to waste on grieving anymore and on recovering from emotionally heavy things. And you have the consciousness now to not recreate those emotionally heavy experiences, because you understand that that's not in alignment. Even though you may really feel drawn to love at this moment, and maybe you really do desire that, or you feel like you have some suitors around you or potential around you, it feels like not every emotionally charged experience is spiritually necessary. I feel like you're deeply tapped into what is necessary for my spiritual path. What can I do to not allow things that are not in alignment with my path, and to keep those things out of the way? So you're being called to be highly intentional about what your soul is calling you to at this time. Something deep is calling your soul. Avoid what you already know could wound you. This is not a time to do it for the plot, to do it to just see what happens. This is not a time for that. This is not a time to romanticize misalignment and connections that you know already would not work long term. This is not a time to choose from your emotions. This is a time to choose with discernment and to dodge emotionally intense lessons that are not necessary. You already learned those emotionally intense lessons, and you have the choice right now. You have the option to choose peace over that constant fatigue and recovery that you may have been in for a while. Like, you don't have the capacity to be in this energy anymore. You just don't have it in you. You don't have it. So make sure to not make decisions that are going to put you in this energy. Even though it might feel really, really difficult, and you're taking a hard look in the mirror and it feels uncomfortable and difficult and maybe a little bit lonely, okay? But I'm telling you, it's so worth it to be in integrity with your soul than to chase potential that you already know intuitively is not for you. Like, I'm telling you, it's just not worth it. Especially your body's asking you right now, like, please, I don't have the capacity for that. I don't have the capacity for that. So, yeah, I think what also came through is like, you don't have the bandwidth for another wake-up call in love. You've had a lot of wake-up calls already. You've had a lot of death and rebirths. You've had a lot of situations that woke you up. Maybe it was a rude awakening. Maybe it's an awakening that was kind of hard for you. Your body, your system, as you're awakening to something deeper, does not have the bandwidth to go through another wake-up call like that. You just don't have that. So this is a call to really take responsibility right now and decide what's going to keep me in alignment with my soul calling. And your emotionally seductive possibilities, just, going into that knowing of, that's cute. I get that, there's some options here, but I'm also deeply in integrity with my alignment right now. So I don't care how nice you are, how sexy you are, how cute you are, how interesting you are. If I already know we're not in alignment, then we're not in alignment, right? So yeah, like, you don't want potential without substance anymore. Like, you just don't, you can't hold space for that kind of connection anymore. You just can't. Your heart literally doesn't have the capacity for that. Your heart's like, no, I'm begging, no more. But yeah, I think what I also wrote was, if it's a maybe, it's a no. Okay, so if someone invites you out, or if you're like thinking about someone or something, if you think about it and the first thing you think is maybe, babe, that's a no. If you feel full body excitement without a sense of urgency or anxiety, but like a full body, like, oh, that would be so lovely, yes, I really want to go, then that's a yes. And yeah, trust your yes. But I think it's important to realize that a lot of the times, intuitively, we already know that something's a no. We already know that it's the maybe, and it's just the like feeling of, sure, I guess I'll connect with this person. That's literally your body and intuition telling you that that's a no. A yes, you will know when it's a yes. Okay, like, you will know. So yeah, it doesn't matter if somebody feels meaningful or they're moving towards you in a way that feels enticing. Like, right now, you're focused on alignment and you're focused on yourself. And this doesn't mean that you're closed off to love in any kind of way. It just means that you don't have the capacity to hold love that is not in alignment with your soul purpose and who you really truly are. So if somebody does happen to come around that is deeply in alignment with that, then I would say, yeah, beautiful. It's safe to engage, but it's also important to take it really, really slow and to, because you really do want to avoid this energy of, you know, falling into a same pattern that's going to cause another cycle of recovery, you know? So it's about, you know, if you do feel deep alignment with someone, it's really like, okay, take it the slowest you've ever taken it in your life. Because your first priority right now is this deep soul calling that's happening within. And also, you know, it might not be the time right now, because when we're deeply in recovery, it's just not the time to start something new. That recovery cycle needs to complete itself. But do your thing. Everybody has free will. And yeah. Ooh, I really liked this sentence too. You can't afford to invest in emotionally poetic experiences that you ultimately know can derail you from your deeper alignment. You know how long it takes you to recover from that as a sensitive soul, so don't ignore that inner knowing. I really liked that word, like emotionally poetic experiences, because I think there's a lot of us sensitive souls that are very romantic, very poetic. We like to connect with people, and maybe you don't see the long term, but you're like, oh, this could be really nice for now. But it's like you're so not in that energy right now at all. Like, you're not really interested in emotionally poetic, fleeting experiences at this time. It really feels like your inner knowing is guiding you at this time to not betray your awakening process. And I think that's really beautiful. And this rose quartz came out, like, that's on deep self-love. That is self-love. That is an act of self-love. To protect your awakening, to protect your path, to protect your heart. So whenever you feel lonely, whenever you feel like I can't do this anymore, remember that what you're doing right now to protect your peace is an act of self-love. And if that's the only way that you feel like you can love yourself right now, then so be it. Then so be it. It's still beautiful and still perfect. But it's like you're exhausted from connections that are not aligned 100%. You're exhausted. So protect yourself from feeling that exhaustion again. You don't want to feel that again. So don't. Right now you're learning to feel into others' energies and to feel into, is this in alignment? Is this not in alignment? Is this a maybe? Is this a no? Is this a yes? Is this a sure? Is this a we'll see? No, like, you're really deeply learning, like, what feels resonant and what feels like, that could be cute. I could connect, but I probably wouldn't be in alignment. Pay attention to those intuitive nudges, to those intuitive knowings. Because ultimately, it's going to lead to you meeting the people that feel like soul family. The people that feel like so aligned that you can't even imagine, like so irreplaceable, you know? Just those people that feel like so in alignment with your truth, your purpose, your path, your life, everything. Just everything's aligned. Not even one thing is off. Like, that's what you're attracting right now. By staying in that energy of alignment over distraction. Peace, inner peace, and discernment over connection. So, yeah. Let that be a confirmation that, you know, you're calling in deep alignment when it comes to connection right now. So anything that isn't that, make sure that it doesn't have access to you if it's not that. Because that affects your path, your frequency, that affects your thoughts, that affects your self-belief, that just that a little misalignment in your field can affect everything in your life. And remember how sacred you are, how sacred your path is, how sacred your awakening journey is right now with that Judgment card. And since it's so deeply sacred, you don't want anything to disrupt that right now. You cannot afford that anymore. You've been through that. Allow yourself to fully recover. And choose your people wisely, because you're special. Not everybody deserves access to you. Okay? So I'm gonna leave you with that. I love you so much. Thank you for watching this video. And I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.